Welcome back. My name is Alicia Moses. I'm one of your co-hosts today at the FSCA's conference taking place today and tomorrow in Bryanston, Johannesburg at the Forum. And we have with us today in our social media village, Miss Leanne Jackson. Very welcome.
Hello, Alicia. Nice to be here.
Ms. Leanne Jackson is actually the Chief Ombud at the Ombud Council. And I know that the Ombud Council has been on a massive drive over the past couple of years to market and communicate what you actually do and your role in the financial services industry. Could you tell us a bit more about that?
Certainly, Alicia, although what our real drive is not to market what the Ombud Council does, but what financial ombud schemes do for South African financial customers. And I think what's important is a lot of people don't realize that one of the advantages of being a financial customer in South Africa dealing with a regulated financial institution is you have this completely free access to a dispute resolution forum for those times when things do go wrong with your bank, your insurer, your financial advisor, even your pension fund. There are ombud schemes which are free dispute resolution services that are there to assist you in resolving those complaints. No lawyers, no cost to you, objective experts who are there to assist. So the Ombud Council is the regulatory body that oversees those ombud schemes. But as I said, it's less about us, but more about making sure everyone knows that they could access a financial ombud.
So the Financial Ombud Council basically sets the rules for the financial ombuds.
We can set rules and we exercise oversight, but we also, as part of, just to make sure that they're doing a decent job, but equally, we don't deal with complaints ourselves. I think it's quite important to understand that. Complaints are dealt with by the ombuds, and we've got 4 ombud schemes in the financial sector. We've got the Phase Ombud, that's the short title, it's the Financial Services Providers Ombud, who deals with complaints if you have a complaint about a financial advisor, if you feel you've had bad advice. We have the Pension Funds Adjudicator, if you've got an issue regarding your pension fund or the employer's handling of your pension fund, can complain to the adjudicator. And then the biggest scheme is the National Financial Ombud, and that is the scheme that looks after any complaints you've got about any type of insurance, your bank, and credit providers. There's a 4th scheme for the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, but that's not one that most South African customers would interact with. But those other 3 schemes are really important.
So we've heard about all these schemes and we've heard about how this plays together and how they are the interest for the consumer. But what would be the practical complaints process that a consumer would follow if, let's say, for example, I'm not happy with the financial advice that I've received from my financial advisor? Where do I go first?
As I mentioned, there are these 3 schemes, one that deals with financial advisors, one that deals with banks, insurers and credit, and another one that deals with pension fund matters. But I guess my message to members of the public would be these schemes share information with each other. They work together and refer people. So as long as you know one of them, contact one of those numbers, you're going to be referred to the right thing. My advice would be contact the National Financial Ombud because they're probably the largest of the schemes. So if you're unsure which one to go to, start there. They will point you to the scheme if it's not for them. Their website is nfosa.co.za. Very easy to find. There'll be full contact details on there. The Ombud schemes are contactable through multiple channels. They've got social media presence, they've got email addresses, they've got online forms, and telephonic. And importantly, they will also assist you in any South African language that you
That's great to know, especially in every South African language. It's really, really comforting to know. What are some of the changes that has taken place at the Ombud Council? And what is its impact on the financial ombud system?
Well, the Ombud Council itself is a relatively new entity. So what we've overseen, though, is some fundamental change in the ombud system itself. So until 2 years ago, the ombud system was very complicated because there were actually 7 different ombud schemes until 2 years ago. So it was very confusing for consumers to know who to talk to. There was a concern that they might get sent a little bit from pillar to post and so on. So what we as the Ombud Council have helped to facilitate is an amalgamation of a number of those schemes. So there used to be separate ombuds for life insurance, non-life insurance, banking and credit. All of those have now merged to form the National Financial Ombud Scheme, or the NFO, which makes life so much easier. And there's further change in the pipeline to actually bring the phase ombud, the ombud that deals with financial advice, also into that net. But that's going to take some legislative change, so still a little while, but that's what we're working on hard behind the scenes.
I remember when I first joined the FSB at the time, which was more than a decade ago, there was this talk of having a central ombud system, and I think I can see it in the works now when you're discussing how you want to bring it all into a central hub where consumers can just go to one hub and then just be redirected to where their complaint actually needs to go.
Agreed. This has been a long time in the coming, and you talk about you being at the old FSB longer. I was there even before you, Alicia, in my former life. So this is a long road coming. But the National Treasury and the FSCA actually got the World Bank to do a study of the ombud system, and they did a diagnostic. And they strongly recommended greater consolidation of the system. So the fact that the creation of the NFO, which merged those four previous industry schemes, is a step towards that, and that work will continue. So it does remain the vision to have a one-stop shop for financial customer complaints.
I think it's very important to know the role of the Ombud Council and where they play in the financial services industry, not only just to the industry themselves, but to yourselves as viewers and consumers out there. Leanne, you've been with us now and you've observed the conference to this time, to this power hour. Tell me, what's been the key highlight that has stood out for you over this morning?
What did stand out for me was the Commissioner's mention right up front about how financial customers are becoming increasingly empowered and are demanding transparency and fair treatment over and above just price and matters like that. And I think that's important, and we're certainly seeing that in the Ombud system. What also stood out was the presentation Eugene did on the future COFI framework, which is also something I've been involved in for far too many years. But what is important to remember is that financial ombuds are an underpin to all of that consumer protection, because much as the FSCA is working on making sure that the financial institutions deliver fairer outcomes, the Ombud Council is there to oversee an ombud system that sits as that next layer of protection for when things do go wrong. Because with the best regulation in the world, there are going to be times that a financial institution is going to mess up and a customer is going to believe they've been unfairly treated and not getting the outcomes they should. And then they need a fallback position. Reporting a financial institution to the regulator and having them take enforcement action against them if that were warranted is extremely important. But that doesn't help you and me, who may have lost money, etc. So this is about that individual customer and giving them an underpin. So the reason we're so interested in the COFI bill developments and the evolution of the broader regulatory framework is that the ombud system needs to follow suit. So just as the FSCA is going to be taking on new roles and new responsibilities and regulating the conduct of new activities, the ombud system and the jurisdiction of the ombud schemes needs to keep pace with that so that there's not a gap left. So just as the FSCA is taking on new responsibilities, we need to create new alternative dispute resolution mechanisms for the customers who are using those new products and services. And, all this innovation from crypto products, the fascinating new financial instruments and things that we've heard about, where there's a retail customer at the end of that, they need to have this free alternative recourse for when things do go wrong. So that's why, following the evolution of the system is so important.
Yes. Thank you, Leanne. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for sharing your viewpoints. We really value it and appreciate it.
My pleasure, Alicia. Good luck with the rest of the conference.
Thank you. And
Thank
next
you.
up we have a little bit of a discussion with Nolwazi on artificial intelligence. I know this has been a buzzword, disruptive technology, artificial intelligence, the good, the bad, the ugly, the great. Let's hear a bit more about that next. Thank you.